at 6:45. The chair would entertain a motion for the approval of claims.
Madam Chair, I move that we consider the claims to be paid the amount of $214,063.52, a manual check in the amount of $14,757.76, payroll and liabilities for 3/11/22 and 3/25/22 in the amount of $698,822.63, for a total of $927,643.91.
Second.
Councilmember Pronto had the motion, seconded by Councilmember Salisbury. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Is there anything else we need to discuss?
I have nothing, Your Honor.
I have nothing, Your Honor.
All right, being nothing, we adjourn at 6:46.
question for you.
We'll take part of it out.
Is he this week?
This weekend?
Saturdays?
I thought we were gonna find a letter and tell them. Just to put a little, I mean, that's
think
ridiculous.
I am.
Sure, let me see what I can do.
I just thought, we talked about it one day, but it was kind of like this randomly, but I was like, maybe.
Let me call YDOT again.
Got her in October. I just got her declined in Spain like a month ago. So I'm like,
I now call the April 5th, 2022 regular meeting of the Riverton City Council to order at 7. Councilwoman Salisbury will lead us to the Pledge of Allegiance, and Councilman Dean Peranto will give us the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Lord, we pray that you guide us always and satisfy the needs that need to be met during this meeting and strengthen us as we make tough decisions. Help us to work as a unified team and combining ideas for their great outcome, and help us to work as a whole rather than as individuals. Father, we pray that we will be fruitful tonight and guide us so that this meeting can be productive. Let us be effective and decisive. Lord, protect and guide all of our first responders and keep all of them safe. Amen.
Amen.
Thanks, Christy and Dean, I appreciate it. Would the city clerk please conduct a roll call?
Yes, Your Honor. Councilwoman Carla Borders.
Here.
Councilwoman Lindsay Cox.
Here.
Councilman Dean Pronto.
Here.
Councilman Kyle Larson.
Here.
Councilman Christy Salisbury.
Here.
Mayor Richard Gard.
Here. The chair would entertain a motion to excuse Councilman Bailey from tonight's meeting.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Paranto and a second by Councilwoman Borders. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. I declare that we have a quorum present. The chair would entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda as presented.
So moved. Second.
Councilwoman Borders has the motion. Councilwoman Salisbury has the second. Council discussion. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Kyle, you there?
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. Communication from the floor. Anyone in the audience wishing to address the council regarding an item that is scheduled for a public hearing will be given the opportunity to speak during that public hearing. Anyone wishing to address the council on any other item may speak now. I would ask those individuals who wish to address the council at this time to approach the podium and identify yourself for the record.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So I'm Janet Winslow with the Riverton Chamber of Commerce. Got Julie Buller with the Riverton Ambassadors. I'm also a Riverton Ambassador, and Carol Harper with Riverton Ambassadors. And we'd just like to really briefly give you an update of what is going on with the Chamber, with the Riverton Ambassadors. I think we have some really fantastic and exciting news to share. You guys have seen the work that the Riverton Ambassadors has been doing over the last 2 years. You've heard about the Why Riverton website, and you've probably heard about changes going on at the Chamber. And there's some major stuff going on. One of the things that we're working on Thursday at our meeting will be adopting new bylaws. We're making, the Riverton Ambassadors is going to merge with the Chamber. And so those efforts will be collaborating from probably, I'd say July 1st going out. So the Why Riverton website will be a truly inclusive website that will have tourism, it will have local information, thanks to Carol, and it will have the Chamber information, and we're really excited about that. Just finally, a 2-year effort of pulling everything together, showing our community a collaboration that we think will be very successful going forward.
And so I just wanted to, on behalf of the Riverton Ambassadors, thank the council and this community for everything they've done. I don't know those of you that realize or how we were formed, but the Riverton Ambassadors were formed well over 2 years ago. We actually started as a volunteer group to try to generate the all-class reunion every 5 years, and then COVID hit. And so Rich doesn't really realize this, but the reason the Riverton Ambassadors are here is because when I came to him and said, hey, they're wanting to cancel everything around town plus the class reunion, and we don't want to do that, he said, keep things going. So this was your baby when you said keep things going. It was a grassroots group that we saw the need
Good choice, huh?
to keep things going. And, you know, it was kind of an ever-evolving thing. There was probably 30 people in that room when we had our first meeting. And from there, it just kind of kept evolving and to where we learned and understood how the organizations worked in town and saw the need to step in and help. At that point, there were some, you know, issues with our chamber, but we're really excited. This was always our goal, just so you know. It was always our goal to try to just keep things going until the people that needed to keep things going stepped to the plate. And we're excited that the chamber and merging this together, because really everything we've been doing has been on behalf of the community and the chamber. And it's just now given us the opportunity to merge these two together with the bylaws. And we're all Riverton ambassadors. And that's what we've said from the beginning. This isn't just a few groups or volunteers. And what we're looking at with the new chamber structure is basically working committees on the board to keep things rolling. We have no intentions of slowing down or stopping. One other thing and reason for doing this presentation today was because we had asked the city for a contract for services, the Riverton ambassadors did last year, for money to progress forward with the Y Riverton website and what we were doing with our marketing promotion of the community events. That ask that we are doing this year is now combined and merged in with the chamber, and we will be a voice of one so that we're spending the city's money wisely in one place with one group of volunteers throughout the community working in the same united effort. So I think a lot of the I don't know what I want to call it, issues, concerns, or whatever with the community, they really had a tough time buying into us because it was just a grassroots volunteer group. And I don't think they felt like we could succeed or would keep going, that we would eventually burn out. We haven't burnt out. We're just merging now, and we're bigger than what we were before. And Carol, you guys, has been amazing. She's going to be a part of this throughout the whole project that we're working on to progress forward with the new chamber and ambassadors together, and she'll keep doing all that. Our goal was this one Y Riverton website, and thank you to the city, to our EDOs, Idea Inc., Window Development, and the TAD money that we got from the chamber. We were able to roll out this website, the WY Riverton website, and this morning, I don't know if, I guess a couple things. I don't know if you guys saw or if you get the information, but we have to do a follow-up to you guys for giving us that money from last year. And I don't know if you guys see that follow-up, but if you don't, I would love to. I'm going to share this with you if you didn't, because it just shows you in there everything that we were doing in addition to for the last 2 years to that Y Riverton website. And it's just built up to that point. There was one other thing I wanted to say, and it's escaped me, so. What's that?
So all the efforts, all the events that the Riverton Ambassadors has been doing, in addition to what the Chamber has been working on and trying to create, is going to continue. Again, this is just going to be a stronger collaborative than we've had before in the past, so we're really excited about it.
And the one thing I was going to say was this morning we had a really dynamic meeting. We called it the Tourism Destination Development. And this is to get packages on our website, the new Y Riverton website. And we had a room full of people with great ideas. It was our restaurants, our tourism people. Unfortunately, the motel people were invited, and we thought they were going to be there, but they've got another chance because we'll be meeting in 2 weeks. And so we're rolling forward with developing packages to put out there on the Y Riverton website. Eventually, we'll probably be coming and asking for more money for the economic development side of it. So we're not through asking for your help, but we're telling you that we're doing a lot, you guys, and what we have on the plate to keep progressing forward. We just hope that you guys will continue to support us because we do need your support. And I want to say the city, too, has been amazing. Everything we've done to work with all of the department heads, they've been amazing to help us get everything progressing forward. So, Carol?
Oh, no, I think they said it all. I think they're
Carol, it's nice to have you back in Riverton.
It's
and,
nice to be back.
And you are a sure backbone for that group, and we do recognize that.
Well, it's a team effort. We have a very strong team that gets things done, and like our mission statement says, we move things forward. You know, we're not going to be hung up on the little issues. We don't let it get us down. So I'm really excited about it.
Carol was raised in Riverton, and I I know many of her accomplishments. She's a accomplished pianist and vocalist, and it's just nice to have you back.
Your Honor.
Not even, don't.
Your Honor. I just want to thank you guys. I think when you look at other communities around the state, having committees with the chamber makes a huge difference. Like in Sheridan, they have the Wounded Warriors Project that's, I mean, businesses come in, they want to be a part of the chamber. They want to get involved in things, and I'm really excited about that. And Julie, I guess that means Friday night cruises are going to start back up pretty soon, or?
If you want to form a committee. You know, and that's what we get, all these calls all the time. I got a great idea.
I know, I should never give an idea. When you see Julie, you need to turn and go the other way, or you're going to be doing something.
Grab your wallet.
Then I get to make up what the theme is. I might have to do the committee. Carol and I could do that. 1985. We graduated together. And Robert Scheidemantel.
Also, yeah, I'm surprised you graduated.
So keep an eye out in the, I don't know where all the information is going to come from a lot of places right now, but it is going to focus down into one place. But go to the Y Riverton website if you have a business, if you have a website of your own, if you're part of an organization, Kiwanis, Rotary, any of that stuff. We want all of those to link into this website, so we're always sharing information. And our community, as well as our tourists, know where to go and have one place to go, and they're not constantly searching here and there and feeling like they've missed out because they're not plugged in.
Yeah, so I don't know if anybody noticed, we had that goriverton.com, which came from our e-blast. That will eventually go away, and we'll have a community page on the yriverton.com website. So it'll all kind of just come together like that, so. keep
Your
it-
Honor.
Keep it coming.
So will that replace the chamber website as well?
Eventually, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So, again, it'll all be in one place. I don't know, when I travel, I want to know what the local activities are. You know, I want to see things, and we're seeing more and more tourists are looking for experiences. And there's going to be some really cool things coming in June, where we're going to create some experiences in our community that tourists can be involved in, and hopefully that will carry on for years to come. So developing our tourist assets right now is something that we're working really hard on. So if you see a call to action to come and help with something, please sign up.
I do want to just say thank you to, you guys are doing an amazing job, and what you've done in 2 years is just amazing, so thank you.
Well, don't run the other way when you see Julie coming. She really is like our unicorn, so.
I know.
Thanks, everybody. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak? Would the city clerk please read the consent agenda items by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Approval of the minutes, March 15, 2022, regular council meeting. Approval of the minutes, April 5, 2022, Finance Committee meeting. Approval of the Finance Committee recommendations for April 5, 2022. And 4 out-of-city water service agreements for the following individuals or entities: LeClaire Irrigation District, Ron and Connie Hoffman, Daryl and Christy Peterson, and Peterson Rentals LLC.
Thank you. Are there any other items requiring further discussion?
Your Honor, the Finance Committee met earlier this evening and approved the consideration of claims to be paid in the amount of $214,063.52, manual check in the amount of $14,757.76, payroll and liabilities for March 11th and March 25th, 2022 in the amount of $698,822.63, for a total of $927,643.91.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I'd like to abstain from any warrants paid to Traveling Computers or Wyonet.
Okay, we'll let you. How's that? The chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Borders has the motion. Councilwoman Cox has the second. Any further council discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. A public hearing, public hearing consideration of an ordinance number 22-004, first reading, allowance of use of the CH zoning. Community Development Director's report, please.
Yes, Your Honor, Council. Ordinance 2204 is the additional use allowance to commercial highway zone. Currently, above-ground propane gas tanks are not allowed without variances on commercial highway or CH property. This does have numerous, the city does have numerous distributors in CH zoning that have obtained variances over the years for the sale and distribution of propane, among other things. With another request coming in soon for another location zoned CH, it was deemed prudent to look into proposing the allowance by ordinance instead of continued use of a variance, which I might add in some cases is a loose interpretation of the variance process as well. There are currently 4 establishments on CH zoned property selling propane from above-ground tanks distribution sites, with a 5th potentially proposed. Citizens have grown accustomed to looking for this service directly on Main Street or Federal. Ordinance 22-004 adds the language to allow above-ground gas and propane tank structures for intended sales and distribution. The changes to the Riverton Municipal Code 17.64.040 use regulations, subset J, above-ground tank structures for gas and propane, parentheses LPG, intended for sales and distribution. Alternatives. In considering Ordinance 22-004, the Planning Commission may explore the following alternative actions. Amend Riverton Municipal Code to reflect new language on the allowance of above-ground propane and gas tanks. Deny the request to change the ordinance and continue to follow current practices and codes and continue to use variances for the allowed use. Approve the changes with amendments and/or stipulations. Currently, by adopting ordinance number 22-004, there is no direct impact to the current budget today. The recommendation is that City Council adopt on first reading ordinance number 22-004, additional use allowance to commercial highway zone.
Thank you. This is where I usually jump over you, but would the city clerk please read ordinance number 22-004 by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Proposed ordinance number 22-004 on first reading. An ordinance amending Title 17 zoning, Chapter 17.64, Commercial District CH, Section 17.64.040, use regulations of the Riverton Municipal Code, and repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to open a public hearing.
So moved.
Second?
Councilman Toronto has the motion. Councilwoman Borders has the second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. I now declare that the public hearing is open. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with the state statute and other applicable laws. I would ask those individuals wishing to address the council to approach the podium and identify yourself for the record.
Your Honor, seeing no one, I move that we close the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Toronto, a second from Councilwoman Cox. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passed. The chair would entertain a motion to adopt ordinance number 22-004 on first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Salisbury has the motion. Ladies, was it Lindsay? Councilwoman Cox has the second. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Public hearing and consideration of the restaurant liquor license transfer of ownership from the CHOPSTIX Asian Bistro to LLC. City Clerk's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mayor and council, before you tonight for your consideration is a restaurant liquor license transfer of ownership application submitted by CHOPSTIX Asian Bistro 2 LLC, doing business as CHOPSTIX Asian Bistro. This building is located at 824 North Federal Boulevard, and this would be for the remainder of the 2022-2023 liquor licensing year. The license is currently under CHOPSTIX Asian Bistro Incorporated, doing business as CHOPSTIX. The sole officer of this corporation unfortunately passed away earlier this year. Pursuant to Wyoming Statute 124601, the license can be transferred with an assignment letter from the executor or administrator of the estate. At this time, the LLC, or the applicant, the CHOPSTIX Asian Bistro 2 LLC, is working to obtain the assignment letter to comply with statute. The proper fees have been paid and proper notice to the public has been advertised, and once this assignment letter is received, the Wyoming Liquor Division will certify the application as complete. Staff recommends approval of the transfer of ownership application contingent upon the receipt of an assignment letter approved by the Wyoming Liquor Division.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to open a public hearing.
Second.
Councilwoman Peranto has the motion. Carla, with you? Lindsay. Maybe it's Lindsay that I can't hear.
Sorry.
It's not you, it's old ears. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Motion passed. I declare a public hearing open. The public hearing will be conducted in accordance with the state statute and other applicable laws. I would ask those individuals wishing to address the council to approach the podium and identify yourself for the record.
Your Honor, seeing no one, I move that we close the public hearing.
Thank you.
Second.
Councilman Peranto has the motion. Councilwoman Salisbury has the second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the transfer of the ownership of the restaurant liquor license for CHOPSTIX Asian Bistro 2 LLC for the remainder of 4/1/22 through 3/31/23 liquor license term, contingent on the receiving of the assignment letter approved by the Wyoming Liquor Association.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Cox has the motion, and Councilwoman Borders has the second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Consideration of ordinance number 22-003, third and final reading, Riverview Cove annexation. Would the city clerk please read ordinance number 22-003 by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Proposed ordinance number 22-003 on third and final reading. An ordinance annexing the Riverview Cove subdivision, Fremont County, Wyoming, not previously annexed to the city of Riverton, designating the zoning classification of the parcel and amending zoning map to reflect the same, and repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to adopt ordinance number 22-003 on third and final reading.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Peranto has the motion. Councilwoman Salisbury has the second. Discussion. Seeing none, would the city clerk please conduct roll call?
Yes, Your Honor. Councilman Carla Borders.
Yes.
Councilman Lindsay Cox.
Aye.
Councilman Dean Peranto.
Yes.
Councilman Christy Salisbury.
Aye.
Councilman Kyle Larson.
Yes.
Mayor Richard Gard.
Yes. Motion passes. Quarterly Police Department status report. Presentation, please. Police Captain's report, please.
Mayor, council.
There you are. We do our work and then people get up and leave. Isn't that, it's kind of interesting, isn't it?
That's all right.
How about those Jayhawks?
What's that?
Said, how about those Jayhawks?
That was quite the game.
They're so fun.
Come from 15 back. Kyle, where was your money on that?
Not in the right spot.
Did you get,
Kyle showed me how to do this right
See
before.
why I drove to Kansas City over spring break to watch him in the Big 12 tournament?
did you really? Wow.
Savannah and I did.
You drove there?
Yeah.
Dedicated.
It was, you didn't hear about my trip. It was crazy.
Tell me.
Yeah, it was,
Every time, okay?
it was Savannah and I, because she had spring break. Couldn't get out Laramie, we finally did. It was the first show ever. Anyway, we'll talk about it
Helps
later.
a bunch.
Thanks.
And I had pretty good eyesight, but sometimes it gets a little tiny.
Are you done with this?
So I'll be speaking about the top 10 calls for service for the first quarter. I know the last one we presented, it was for the year. You'll kind of see a little bit of that as well.
So we're, in 17, we were at 11,873, and we've dropped to 9,570.
So far, yeah, we're showing a decline in our calls for service
Super.
through the last 5 years.
It's not that we don't like you getting calls, but we'd like them to be fewer.
Yep.
Right?
We enjoyed it as well, so it's a good thing.
That's remarkable distance there, so thanks for the good work. Seems like we stayed pretty flat in 18, 19, and 20 though, didn't we?
Yeah, it stayed pretty close.
Okay.
Not a huge difference in 21, but there is still a decrease you can see through the years, especially from 2017.
Super. Anybody else have any questions? Thanks, Captain. We want to move on to where you're going to go next.
So next, we'll just kind of go through just a few different slides. It'll kind of show you some of the top 10 calls. This next one will be through 2017 to 21 as well. So it breaks it down and shows you the years, the totals down at the bottom of the actual calls. The bars will indicate the years that they happen. And this is part of the stuff that I presented last time. There'll be a little difference in it because last time we entered it kind of towards the middle of December just to get the presentation ready. So this one actually now goes through the actual full year.
Big difference in intoxicated person.
Yeah, that's the one that caught my eye, and I would like to compliment you on that. Intoxicated persons has dropped almost 1,000.
It has gone down. With a little bit of research on that, we're finding out that the tribes have issued vouchers to some of the members. So that's kind of kept them in motels and some of that things are kind of off the street, which is a big progress for all of us.
We appreciate that, and we'll tell the tribe that when we get in next time. Would you make a note of that for us, Tony? All the others are kind of fun to look at, too. Every once in a while, I get a call about dogs at large, and it looks like that's dropped sizably. So has warrant arrests. Any idea why those are down?
A lot of that stemmed from the COVID in the jail, having the issues there, and just not taking in as many as we normally would. With that kind of open back up, we're already starting to see an increase in our warrant arrests now, just because now they can be placed there. So guys are actually going out and looking for the warrants. Whereas before, if it was something severe, the jail would take them, but if not, we kind of stayed away from them.
Okay.
just to help them out with the COVID
So
issue.
when you say some guys, is that Tony and Kyle or out there?
Yeah,
Or who are those guys?
the officers.
Yeah, okay. I think that's really dangerous, and I really appreciate the work that you do. That's not easy to pick up those warrants, and we have, I believe, 2,200 warrants out.
I can't remember what the number is. It's significant.
It's quite, it's quite a bit. I don't know the exact numbers, but they're up there.
I think it's 2,200 on 1,900 individuals, so that puts our police at danger, in my opinion, so I appreciate that number dropping.
There's a whole to the list on the city website.
I was just going to ask about that.
If you want to find out if you have a warrant, there's a link on our city website. So any citizen can look at any time. You can call your grandkids or your brother and tell them to get their scoop and a scoop.
Good idea. I just asked my wife, and she tells me everything.
I just try to avoid doing bad stuff.
Your Honor,
Yes.
Captain, is there a place where citizens can go to see these statistics?
We don't have anything published with them.
Okay.
That might be something we can look at trying to do.
Okay.
Your Honor, we can, being part of this as a public conversation, we can put this as part of the minutes and make it real easy, and so people can go and see it as part of the minutes to this meeting.
Thank you.
So could we put those on our Facebook page or not? Bad idea?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. Super. So these are the top 10 calls for service. So,
From 2017 to 21, and so I'll show, here's the calls for the quarter from 2021 to the current quarter that we've just done for 2022.
okay.
So there's a slight decrease in that. About 272 is about the difference in calls so far to date, as compared to last year's numbers.
So there's
Fabulous.
270 about the difference in calls so far.
Kyle.
It's last year's.
Hey, Kyle, can you mute? We're picking up back feed from your phone. Can you mute? Thank you.
So here's our top 10 calls for service for this first quarter, from January 1st to March 31st. They really haven't changed as much as far as the actual calls themselves. The numbers might be a little different. Suspicious person circumstance is one of our higher ones. And this is a comparison for the quarters back through the last, it'll be a total of 6 years.
Total of 6 years. What does it take to be a suspicion person?
It's kind of like a catch-all. So if there's something that doesn't meet an actual like intoxicated person or something specific call, they'll label it as suspicious. If they think they hear something outside their house, turns out to be the wind or something like that. With a little bit of wind we've been having lately.
Yeah.
Your Honor, how come we have so many trespassing unwanted people this year?
Yeah, we've seen an increase in that. I couldn't tell you why exactly, but it has gone up.
So that's calls from individuals that have somebody on their property, premise that they want removed?
That's correct. Their property, or it could have something to do with businesses as well. Shoplifting, want them trespassed.
Okay. I've been watching shoplifting, and I think that's diminished. So,
Your Honor, and if I may, one of the things, if we think back a couple years ago, is we did shoplifting work that helped educate businesses about their rights and how, and provided them forms to submit to have people trespass because shoplifting was an issue. And so seeing that go down or seeing that those are being addressed that way is probably part and parcel to the process, simply because we've told them to use this method in order to remove people from their property and allow them a tool to make sure that that shoplifting doesn't occur. So it's not terribly surprising when we were talking that it happened. We hope that what happens is because the increase in calls leads to a decrease eventually in occurrences altogether. That would be the goal.
And that's what this next slide is going to show you as well. You'll see in 2017 it was extremely high, and it's gone down considerably since then. A lot of that can stem from, especially working at Walmart, having a secondary employment out there with the officers. That's had a pretty major decrease in their shoplifting. And then, like city administrator said, part of that is you guys getting together and having the town meetings and discussing it with the business owners on how they can better handle all that.
So for the public to understand what that ordinance does is if you're a business and an individual shoplifts from your location, you can have them trespassed, and what that means is they're no longer welcome to come into your business. And so the next time the police show up and it's Rich Guard is not where he's supposed to be, the police have the ability to take further actions than a simple shoplifting. And it makes it easier for the businesses, and it makes it harder on people that try to do shoplifting. And that's one of those crimes that costs all of us a lot of money. And so as things get taken, prices have to go up. So we appreciate that work. Thanks.
So these are just a little different from the quarter stats that we just did. This is kind of just more of just information, kind of interest calls. As you can see, the numbers aren't very high, but the time we spend on a lot of these, especially we can see the sexual assaults have a slight increase. Say public intoxication, guys get an arrest on public intoxication. By the time they bring them in, get the report done, transport them, you're looking at maybe 3 hours. Sexual assault will come in, and it could be weeks to months before something gets solved with that. Same thing with homicides. You know, last one we had, it was 2 years, I believe, before that one was actually solved. So it's just someone continuing working on this stuff. So even though the numbers aren't very high, there's a lot of man hours put into that kind of call.
Super. Did we skip a slide? Did we skip, I've got first quarter 17 through 22, top 10 calls. Did we work that?
Yeah.
This one here, yeah.
Thank you. When you're old, you lose track of time. What are you going to tell us here, Captain?
So this is one we were just talking about with shoplifting and just the interesting calls. The calls that the numbers are low, but how much it takes for us to try to actually work them. There's just something a little extra than the quarterly stuff that we just presented. This one is actually from 2017 to 21 for the years, and then the next one is going to be by quarter for the same years.
So when I saw those pie charts come through, I was really kind of impressed with the changes in Riverton and how well the police department's working. I just wanted you to know and to tell the rest of them that we appreciate what they do. You have about 35 officers, 30 officers?
We're 28 sworn, probably about 42 total.
And that doesn't work without just a lot of hard work and effort to guide it from the top. So I appreciate your work and the chief's work. And if we can be of any help, does anybody else have any questions on that report?
Your Honor, I would just like to say thank you. When you see it on paper, it's amazing. And you guys need to be commended for that.
Thank you.
And Captain, my comment would be, this makes it look bad, but on that last page where you have 0 homicides, you actually have a fairly tall red bar there. Is that, am I looking at orange? Oh, it's orange. Never mind.
Domestic.
Domestic.
Yeah, that's domestics. Under the light, it was like, why is that red?
Yeah, we're
Yellow was orange. I'm like, okay, that's just weird.
Domestics are tough too, so I've seen
They are.
officers in action and really appreciate,
Yeah, that's one of the worst calls we can probably deal with.
I know.
that's a hard situation because you don't know who to control.
You don't know what you're walking into.
Exactly, yeah.
And kids.
Anyone else?
Thank you, Captain.
Captain, we appreciate what you do.
Thank you.
Consideration of ordinance number 22-002, third and final reading, the ICC code adoption. Would the city clerk please read the ordinance number 22-002 by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Proposed ordinance number 22-002 on third and final reading. An ordinance amending Title 15 Buildings and Construction Codes, revised Chapter 15.04, Building Construction and Maintenance Codes, Sections 15.04.010, Adoption, Applicability, Filing, and 15.04.040, Local Design Criteria and Loadings of the Riverton Municipal Code, and repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to adopt ordinance number 22-002 on third and final reading.
So moved.
Second.
So I was thinking I was out of place. So give me those again. Who got the motion? Carla? Lindsay? Lindsay, Councilwoman Cox has the motion, and Councilwoman Salisbury has the second. Any further discussion? We defeated this, and that was a good thing. But the state has figured out a way to circum the home rule, and that is to vote for it in the legislature and then drop it on the cities and towns to pay for. And so it's nice to see Representative Ottman in the crowd. I appreciate it when you don't do this to us. And if you could combat that, we would work with you to see what we can do to get that fixed. This is probably one of those things that is best home ruled. And so that's where we found ourselves. And so I would encourage everybody to vote for it on the simple fact that this eliminates some of the home rule stuff that we can do, like fire suppression for residential houses. If we didn't bring it back up, that would roll over into statute, and we'd have to start doing that. So these items have been traditionally exempted by home rule, and that's why we're back here. City Clerk, would you please conduct roll call?
Yes, Your Honor. Councilwoman Carla Borders.
Aye.
Councilwoman Lindsay Cox.
Aye.
Councilman Dean Pronto.
Yes.
Councilwoman Christy Salisbury.
Aye.
Councilman Kyle Larson.
Yes.
Mayor Richard Gard.
Yes. Motion passes. We're now down to the bipartisan infrastructure law, airport terminal grant application. Public Works Director's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your next two agenda items do pertain to the bipartisan infrastructure law that was passed on November 15th, 2021. That law or bill provides $550 billion in new investments for transportation, water, power, energy, and other items that are outlined in your packet. These funds are made available for a 5-year period from now up through fiscal year 26. And the $550 billion is really broken into two categories. The first is $284 billion to improve transportation networks, and then the next is $266 billion to enhance core infrastructure items. And I referenced in your packet a number of the categories referenced in the new law and how they will be disseminated across the nation and the amounts associated therewith. The FAA issued a notice of funding opportunity for $5 billion in a new program to address aging infrastructure in the nation's airports, specifically aging infrastructure related to towers and terminals. This program has some restrictions based on the type of airport that is applying. For example, not more than 55% of the $5 billion made available will go to programs or applications for large hub airports. Not more than 15% shall go to medium hub airports. and not more than 20% for small hub airports, and then not less than 10% shall go to non-hub and non-primary airports. That was a long way of saying that we're in the 10% category of that. What that means is over a 5-year period, Central Wyoming Regional Airport will be able to apply for an available $500 million in the new airport terminal program. These funds are made available each year, $1 billion a year. Therefore, we can compete each year for about $100 million across the entire nation. As referenced in your packet, and as you are aware, the passenger accommodations, while nice at our terminal, are not very efficient. This is particularly due to the fact that our terminal was designed and built prior to the Transportation Security Administration. Therefore, the designed layout really doesn't work with hold rooms and also the screening processes necessary to ensure that our airport contributes to a safe national transportation network. In light of some of these issues, we've had it in our master plan for several years, almost a decade now, an intention to expand and improve our terminal. We've also listed this in our capital improvement plan that's been approved by the state and by the FAA to have our terminal improved by at least fiscal year 30. With these funds that are now available, we would like to expedite our plans. Specifically, we'd like to propose and apply for a grant to expand the terminal by about 2,600 square feet, and that would be to the east of the current terminal. What this would do is allow us to relocate the airline support area, put it in the new addition, and then relocate all the TSA and screening operations into what is now the existing airline support area. This will allow for, I think, a smoother and more efficient terminal operation. It will also give us opportunity to expand the hold room, which will be important over the next several years as trends for employments continue to improve for our region. And then also as we look to the anticipated change in airframe size, I think we've been very well served by the 50-seat airframe. However, it's likely that those airframe will be less available and we'll need to transition to a larger airframe, likely a 75-seater. Once that happens, we want to make sure that we have a hold room that can accommodate a load factor associated with that airframe and that the terminal is comfortable. This would be the first major expansion of the terminal, which was built in 1997. As referenced, bill money is available. Bill monies will be available for 5 years, and we'll plan to apply each year should we not be successful on this application. Right now, our budget for this expansion is approximately $5,250,000. We would be responsible for 5% of that with a match. That equates to roughly $262,500. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. And so this week I saw that our enplanements were at 1,101 for last month. And that's the highest enplanement that we've had in the history that we've been keeping the records of, correct? And so I think it needs to be pointed out that we are fortunate, we really are fortunate that the people in Fremont County are using that airport. And that airport is bringing a lot of transportation plus a lot of freight and services to us. And that's largely conditioned to the FAST group that oversees that, the airport board that spends hours working on that and getting it right. Councilman Paranto spent 12 years on that board, and he didn't know how to get off. So,
You had to save me.
yeah. So we really are fortunate to have that airport, and we're surprising that we were getting those enplanements. So thanks a lot. The chair would entertain a motion to authorize the Public Works Director to submit a grant application to the Federal Aviation Administration Airport Terminal Program to expand and improve the commercial passengers terminal at Central Wyoming Regional Airport.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Paranto has the motion, and Councilwoman Cox has the second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. The bipartisan infrastructure law airport road grant application. Public Works Director's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. As the previous action was related to a new program associated with the infrastructure law, this is an existing program that's receiving more funds. That program is the Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity. We'll call it RAISE from here on out. RAISE grants actually come from previous grant programs. Some of you remember the Tiger programs from a number of years ago. This is a similar granting program. Bill is going to increase the amount of money available in RAISE to about $1.5 billion for fiscal year 22 applications. In brief, and as explained in your packet, RAISE projects are meant to increase regional and local transportation opportunities. A notice of funding opportunity was recently issued, and as the city has been looking at opportunities to maximize its involvement and participation in the BILL program, we found this and felt that it was a good match for Airport Road. Airport Road, as you know, was previously the state highway. It's one of the older roads in our network, and it requires investment for a few reasons. It's degrading, its width is not ideal, and the Force Committee and also the Urban Systems Committee have prioritized Airport Road for improvement, and it's been a matter of discussion for several years. When it comes to the RAISE program, we're excited to see that this will receive an injection of funds from Bill. This is a highly competitive program across the nation. As was referenced in your packet, last year's application represented $10 in funding requests for every $1 that's available. I anticipate the competition to be just as strong for this, even though there are more funds available. Projects are reviewed and rated on a number of items, particularly statutory criteria on safety, environmental sustainability, quality of life, economic competitiveness, et cetera, et cetera. They'll also look at a few ways that the project will increase mobility and improve supply chain. And then also it will have specific funds made available for projects that assist areas that serve historically disadvantaged communities or that have suffered through persistent poverty. The application deadline that is for the fiscal year 22 RAISE projects is coming up soon. It's April 14th, 2022. We found this grant opportunity about 2 weeks ago and have already been putting things together. We feel that we're in a good place to submit this grant. That being said, we're scrambling quite a bit, but we're very confident that we can put something together that will make us competitive so that we can improve this important corridor in our transportation network. The importance of this corridor, I think, is one that you've already discussed on several occasions, but it does serve our industrial area of the city. It does provide transportation, one of the routes available to the airport. It does provide access to the Job Corps Center. And while we prioritize corridor improvements through the Fix Our Road Citizen Committee and also the Urban Systems Committee, I find that we'll have more opportunities to fund other projects should we be successful with this grant application. As referenced, Urban Systems has already listed this as one of its top 3 projects. If we can secure funds through RAISE, then that will make more money available for other corridors that are just as prioritized for improvement. We're still honing down our estimate for improvements for this project. We will do that over the next few weeks. However, our application will not exceed $5 million. That number, again, is a high estimate. That will include rehabilitation of the pavement, widening of the cross-section, shoulder work, and then we'd also like to have a paved pathway that would be separate from the roadway. RAISE projects also prioritize multimodal transportation opportunities, specifically pedestrian opportunities. Right now, it's not very comfortable for a pedestrian to move up and down Airport Road, should that be the way they're walking or biking. And we feel that with the Job Corps there and some of their residential locations there, it would be nice to include that paved pathway as part of this project. So that goes into the budget that we have right now. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to authorize the public works director to submit the grant application to the U.S. Department of Transportation, Rebuild America's Infrastructure with Sustainable and Equality RAISE program to improve the airport road.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Borders has the motion. Councilwoman Cox has the second. Any discussion? I have a couple questions. The county just let the road from, I think they just started construction on it too, Country Acres from Federal as it exits town to 8th Street. And I believe that was almost $2 million, that section of road. And so it's just under 2 million. Does 5 million, are you confident with 5 million? Will it get us halfway to the crash site, or where will it get us to?
Your Honor, if we find that 5 million mark is too small, what we could do is obviously request for a higher amount of funds, or we could break the project into phases and just improve certain portions of it, whether that's up the hill or whether it's at the top of the hill.
Okay.
But I think we have a couple avenues there if we find that 5 is too short.
My other question to you is we have 3 entities of ownership on that. And so does that help us or hinder us?
Your Honor, I see that as a big positive. One of the grant items that I think makes applications stand out is inter-community cooperation. That's the best I could come up with to fly. But if you know what I mean, partnerships. And I think a partnership with the tribal entities, a partnership with the county will really help this application.
So could the county apply for additional money if we needed it, or would they apply solely on their own, or do we apply together? Do we put 3 names in on the application?
Your Honor, my initial thought was that we'd do it on one application. I've had conversation with Billy Meeks about this. One thing about this program is that while we're applying now, funds obligated under it can be spent up to fiscal year 26. And so there's some time to coordinate design and some of the other items, even budgets from the other entities. I think we have a stronger chance by having one application than having 3 separate.
And I think it's a positive to me to have the reservation in that application, so. All right, that's all I got. Anybody else got any questions?
Your Honor, I appreciate you getting that done that quickly. That's a lot of work by next Thursday, or whenever it is. So,
Next Thursday?
did you say April 4th?
I thought you're leaving town.
14th?
Your Honor, I will be here chained to the desk until it's done.
I appreciate that. I know how that goes.
Is that a combination lock or a key lock?
Well, I think my wife has one of them and Tony has the other.
We can access those on our phones now. They're really nice.
So we're down to vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. We're down to council committee reports and council members' roundtable. So Carla, would you lead us off?
Sure, Your Honor. Nice to be here tonight. I actually met with the Community Engagement Committee last night, and they're planning the summer movie program. It's still kind of in its infancy, but they bought new equipment last year, a projector and a big blow-up screen, and so they're going to start doing those. And then, let's see, The Pause is planning a couple of things. They're planning their banquet, of course, and then I think coming up, they have some kind of a fundraiser coming up. I'll be sure to update you when I have more information on that. And I believe that's it.
Thank you, appreciate
You
it.
bet.
Lindsay?
I haven't attended any meetings since our last meeting. Was able to enjoy spring break. Our rec board meeting is next Monday. And that's about all I have.
Thank you. Dean?
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm really excited that we're talking about expanding the airport terminal after 25 years and the influx of fewer, and sometimes a lot fewer passengers to now see the numbers that we're seeing, and that we're even talking about expanding that terminal is pretty amazing, and bringing in even larger airplanes. So to me, that's pretty fascinating, and really shows that this community is using our air service, and that the work that's been done by FAST and the airport board really has been extremely useful and productive for our community. We don't really think about it, but the amount of revenue that the airport brings to our community is staggering. I haven't seen those numbers in recent years, Kyle, but how many hundreds of millions did the Riverton Airport bring to our community? Do you recall off the top of your head?
Your Honor, I don't, but it's several, and I can look that up right now.
I was just curious, but it was a big number.
$22 million.
I was going to say 20-some million, but I didn't want to overestimate.
$22 million
22 million,
annually.
and I think that report's pretty old now. It's at least 5-ish or so years. So $22 million coming into our community because of that facility is pretty amazing. Also, Lindsay mentioned that the rec board meeting was rescheduled to Monday just to some scheduling conflicts. And I also wanted to wish a happy birthday to Lindsay and Councilmember Salisbury as well.
And Councilman Bailey. He must be
Oh,
on
that's
his
right.
birthday party, huh?
Right.
Yeah.
But he's not here, so he doesn't get a birthday. I'm just kidding.
Your Honor,
Yes.
if I may, I was able to find that. That's 21.3 million that's brought in total economic development, and that was a number that was established in 2020.
I always round up.
I like that. But that's a pretty staggering number.
So if you put that to use and look at what that is, the equine center that we're putting in Riverton, which will be the biggest building in Riverton when they're done, is an $18 million project. The Job Corps that Mayor Warpness is in the audience tonight, he and I worked real hard on the Job Corps. I believe it cost $34 million. And so if the airport, 35? 43, thank you, Ernie. That even helps my case. And so I think with the airport annually being able to bring in that much revenue, you can see why FAST works so hard on it and why the airport board works so hard on it to make it a viable part. And so many people wonder why we have interest in that airport. But that is a renewing resource every year. It does that. We're going to build the equine center once, and we're going to build Job Corps once. So that's good information. Thanks, Christy.
I think they covered the chamber meetings pretty well earlier this evening. We have another one on Thursday. So that's all I have.
Kyle, did you do?
We attended the waste management, and the figure I gave you was for the closure costs of Shoshone was a little low, but it's about $1,380,000 when it's all done.
$1,380,000?
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, I'm sorry that my phone and the feedback came through as I was watching on the television, you guys, and it's pretty interesting to see empty seats, but we're still carrying on, and that's good. Thank you.
Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate that. That's an expensive process to close a landfill in
Oh,
Wyoming.
It's ridiculous.
It is amazing. You can see what where the problem lies. So, thanks for that information. Tony, you want to go?
Sure, Your Honor. Thank you very much. Couple items. We do have a work session next Tuesday. That is the contracts for services. It is just it's a work session, and so as usual, you'll hear the presentations of the groups that are submitting for funding. That funding will be put into the budget, and then it can be worked through per the normal process. The next WHAM convention is already being advertised. It's for June. If anybody's interested, that's June 8th through 10th. It's a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We're truly lucky. We have Tisha that makes sure that our rooms are we have the best rooms when she gets them. I don't know what she does to help us, but she really does.
Pretty good at
it. If anybody is interested in attending, please let us know. We'd always be happy to have you. So please let us know. Airport Board is next Friday. Force is on Monday. Ambassadors are here, and they'll be meeting on the 7th, correct? Correct. Yeah, I even got the date right this time. Last time I wasn't so good. We've had a little bit of conversation this evening about grants. Wanted to make sure that council understood right now is kind of an unprecedented time for grant programs and monies that are around. There are certain things that are once in a career level of funding in different areas. So generally speaking, when we've went for grants, we've asked you in advance, especially unless there's no match. If it's just, then we want to chase those all day long. But when there's been a match, we've tried to come in advance. That process may not work for us moving forward during this time period. So what we're proposing to do, and unless we're told not to do it, is how we will proceed, is that if we run up into a time crunch where we can't get into a council meeting, we don't have the information in advance, we just got it, we just got notified about it, there's a lot of things that could happen. I've spent a lot of years writing grants as well, and sometimes they even move due dates. It's not common, but it does happen for any number of reasons. We will write those, submit them, and then bring them to you if there's a match. The reason that we would do that is, so one, we're not trying to plan 2 and 3 weeks out before we even start writing them, and two, is to make sure that we can get them in as they arise. In those cases, it's almost always the case that if council says, you know what, we just don't want to do that, we can just pull that grant application right away. There's a lot of times you can say no to money. There's not a lot of times you can say yes, please. So we're going to take advantage of the yes, pleases. Every time we get a chance, we're going to go after that money. Kyle has done a great job. The rest of our team does a great job of trying to identify funding sources. So if it's all the same to everybody, we'll continue on that path, knowing that just like we've done tonight, we're going to come and say, hey, we've been putting these together, and Kyle did put these together and has been working very hard on those, if that's okay. I don't see anybody shaking their head, so we'll move forward and keep applying for monies.
I think it's okay with us.
Okay.
We
that's
appreciate it.
When we don't like it, we'll tell you.
I appreciate that. We did, as council knows, we did have a test on, is it 2? On Cloud Kisser 2, and it did not pass this time. So fundraising and the like, moving forward for a new balloon envelope will begin. We talked about that in the weekly report, and of course, we're going to try to make that happen as soon as possible. We have some ideas that are moving around. There's a lot of people that are already working forward on that, and we appreciate them. Obviously, we already have Cloud Kisser. We do have Cloud Kisser 1 that was replaced, 4 that was replaced this last time. And it's the black one, and plenty of people have seen it. So that's still fully in operation, and so we'll continue moving forward in that direction. We'll look forward to having that conversation with you a little bit more that just happened this last week, so we're finding our feet on that one. We appreciate it. The last thing I have, if I can have just 2 seconds, sorry. Mine are never as good as the police departments, I promise. They're not as interesting, nor are they as developed. That being said,
Where's that ski lift?
right. There we go. So recently, Mayor Guard talked a little bit about a project that he was able to go see on a Saturday morning. And it was his recommendation that, maybe we show that a little bit. We like the ability to show not only what the police department does, but our public works department and our airport, all of our divisions work very, very hard. This team is amazing that way. But having this one was kind of interesting, and I asked Kyle for some more information, and he and his people were managed to provide it, and a couple pictures I wanted to share with you and the public about what was going on. So the West Sunset Pressure Reducing Valve, now this was about a $24,000 project, and ultimately regulated the pressure, had a large to do with the pressure regulation in that area. So I don't want to read all of this for you because I know it's the end of the meeting, and I'm one of the last reports, and I know people would like to go home at some point. But ultimately, this entire process happened on a Saturday morning. And everybody was really great about, including the mayor and staff was really great about getting some pictures. So of course here we have opening up the vault up on the top, crews working up on the right. Now on the bottom left is the old pump being pulled out. It's kind of tough to work in the mud, but they did a really nice job of it. You can see on the bottom right the pump being pulled out. I use that picture simply because to get the frame of reference of the size of that thing. Compared to the human next to it. I don't know who the human was. They cut off his head in the picture anyway.
You need to roll your pictures. The pump picture isn't there.
On the bottom right? Sorry, here, let me see.
That's a hard hat on the worker.
No.
Do you just have those four?
This bottom right one here is the pump, the old pump being pulled out.
Oh, okay. I wasn't seeing that, yeah.
Sorry. No, but you're right. That is a hard hat on the one on the left. So as we move through, there's the old one. Here's a close-up of it. Now, I think this was about a 40-year-old pump. And useful life is between 20 and 30. So we got a lot of life out of this one, but ultimately came to the point where it wasn't going to work for us. And so here's the old one. Now, here's the team bringing in, on the right, the new one. Nice, pretty. It'll look that way the other way in 40 years. And then here it is installed. And then over here is they're putting back the vault door, the vault cover for it. So all of this happened, and the mayor pointed this out previously. This all happened in a morning, was planned to be done by, I believe, noon. They ran over 45 minutes?
40 minutes, yeah.
About 40 minutes. That's not too bad considering the size, if you want to see the size of the line that they're working on. And as the mayor talked about, the connection points there having to line up and how they did that was also, couldn't find pictures of that process, but lining all of those up is pretty difficult. So getting all that done and then getting all those folks back on water was pretty impressive. So we did want to share, and we're going to try to do this a little bit more. End of the year, Kyle and I have talked about the construction report and maybe giving some show and tell on that one. We like to show the pictures. I did want to extend a really great amount of appreciation to our water crews. Over these last couple of years, this last winter wasn't too bad, but the winter before, I remember going over by, I'm trying to remember the school. Anyway, and they had the entire front, it was cold, and I mean just hurtful cold. And they had 3 people cutting open a water line because it had busted and working on it in the middle of winter at night. And that's the kind of thing we see a great deal. They do, all of our teams do a great job, and wanted to give them a little bit of credit and point out one of these really neat projects that was done. And they're significant. So we appreciate your time indulging us and myself taking a look at this. We appreciate that, and we appreciate our teams. Your Honor, with that, I think...
Hey, Tony, put your pictures back up for me, would you? Sure. So to kind of explain how this works, Kyle, how big is the south line there? Is that a 20-inch, 24-inch?
Your Honor, I believe it's 24.
And so the water runs in a loop at this point down to the intersection of Sunset and 8th Street, and it comes back in that loop. And the one on the north, on the top of the page, is a smaller line somewhere around 18, 16. And so what happens is they put these two different valves in there and they bolt them onto the existing T's in place. And then the blue pipe that runs right after the red one, those have slip collars. And they have to bolt all that on because the bolt pattern is different and you can't rotate those pumps at all, those valves at all. And so what they had to do was to cut that, and that pipe was eventually welded. So they bolted it on and got the whole line up and marked it on the pipe, took it back out, welded the inside and the outside, and then put it back in the hole. And the impressive thing was they had to put a gasket between that last joint. And I mean, there wasn't hardly room to do that. And they used some, what they called banana wedges, and they drove them between the pipe, which allowed them a little bit of room to slip that rubber gasket in and put it in place and bolt it up. Impressive. And that vault is about a foot into the asphalt on Sunset. I don't know how many times I've driven up Sunset and not known that vault was underneath me. I was just impressed with the fact that they were doing the work on a Saturday. That's what made me go up there and see that. And I just think you said it was a $24,000 improvement.
Yes, Your Honor.
And so, lots of times people ask us where those funds go, and that comes right out of the water fund, and that's where that money ends up. And I was really impressed by how that went together. Kyle, good job. Kelly, guys, thanks.
Yes, sir.
I'm glad you explained that, Your Honor. I was going to ask if those were custom or how they get them to fit perfectly 40 years later. It's like, surely the same company's not making that exact precise pump.
And they had to put that all dry together and mark it, take it out of the hole, weld inside and outside, and take it back in, and trust that it didn't move.
Yeah. Doesn't look like there's a lot of room for error.
No. So, my turn. I don't know what you guys were doing, but I had 15 different things that I did. So, let me tell you what I was doing. The airport is kind of an interesting process for me, and I've been involved with it for a long, long time. And after our last council meeting, Craig Blumenshine came and spoke to us about the museum up at Du Bois. I'll speak louder. How's that? Must be your ears, because I speak really good. I'll try to speak louder. Craig Blumenshine came and he had a pop-up and some information about what they would like to do at our airport in Riverton. And I asked if we could get together, and so we went out for breakfast that next day. And in our conversation, Cody charters during the summer season, they fly a 747 out of Heathrow into Cody on a Sunday night, pick up the passengers that they unloaded last Sunday and take them back. And so there's a big marketing group that markets the Intermountain Mid-America area. So from there, you can grab a rental car and go through the park and do lots of different things. So I mentioned that to Craig, that possibly we could look for an opportunity like that we could advertise that in a metropolitan region and go over with a large plane. We can land that size of airplane in our airport. And so we would land that and get it up to the Du Bois. Would take a lot of work, and I don't know that we have that many rental cars available to us, but we could grow that. And so he really perked up, and he's on the right side of the dollars, and so maybe there's some things we could do there. I also had a meeting with the Wind River Visitors Council leadership that came and talked to me, and that was good information. I met with Joe Lucero. Joe is a retired doctor. He's practiced in Lander, and I met him at the Republican Lincoln dinner. He was at my table, and I was rather impressed with him, and he came and we spoke for 5 hours, if you can believe it. And he's done a lot of exciting things, and what I wanted him to help me with was we're on the DUI task force, and one of the problems we have is getting our blood samples back from the state. And it can take 8 to 12 weeks to get those blood samples back. And so I tasked him with seeing if what my idea was we'd get our own lab built in Riverton, maybe use some half-cent economic money, and we'd employ some more people in Riverton and make that work. He came back to me and told me that the equipment that is used is somewhere around $500,000 to get it all. But the good news was, and that's what stymied him, he said, we shouldn't have a problem with this because as a doctor, if there's an accident and we have people to work on, we always test them to see what's in their system so we don't give them something that would harm them. And we can do that fairly quick. So he went to Lander and checked, he went to Riverton and checked, and he came back to say that is a possibility, and they already have it on their cost charts. It costs $300 if we send that to the state for every DWI that we send out. And they do it for $384. Now, when we went to the task force meeting, Tony and I went to that, and we could use an officer to that, Captain, whenever that comes to town. If you'd watch that, and I'd have Tony update you on that. You're probably doing something important, but we could use your influence. But with that said, the people in that meeting, they were from Cheyenne and Sheridan and a lot of places, were a little bit skeptical if that was really good information. So what Joe had suggested to me was that we draw 2 vials of blood and send one to a local hospital and the other one to the state crime lab, and then see what the reports come back and look like, if they're similar or not. And so I saw a great use of that because everybody in the state has this same problem. So if we could do the blood tests in Gillette that were Gillettes and Casper that were Caspers, we would diminish the requirement for the state to do testing substantially. And so that was really good information, and I appreciated him looking into it, and we'll chase that further down the road. It may not help, it may not happen, but it might also. So there was a RCDA meeting that I went to in the morning, and Representative Ottman was there along with Senator Salazar, and they told us about all the great things they got done at the legislature, and we appreciate their service, and that was good information. I did go to the FTAG meeting, and FTAG meetings I really do appreciate. They're long meetings. They take about 4 hours, but there's a lot of good things discussed by the different mayors in the room, and I appreciate that opportunity. We had a meeting that I thought went really well, and that was the disorderly house meeting. And we contacted the staff, contacted everybody that had a apartment dwelling in Riverton, and we had 2 or 3 people on Zoom, and we probably had 6 or 8 in the audience. And they were pretty adamant that wouldn't work, but by the time the conversation was over, they were pretty pleased with the way we saw that would work. And so I think we made a right move there. We had a meeting with Matt Wright, who's going to speak to us next council meeting.
On the 19th, yes, sir.
On the 19th, and he has some ideas on how to improve City Park, and those consist of possibly taking down the tennis courts and putting in a full basketball court on one side of that, and a flat skating area for beginners, so you can learn how to skate down the really steep stuff. So we'll see that on the 19th.
Your Honor, the pickleball people would like to have it.
And we threw that up, and so talked to the pickleball people. And what we'd like to do is paint that with multiple opportunities. So another thing that we do a lot of is cornhole, right? So if we paint those into that facility, so all you had to do is just put your board on that spot, then you wouldn't have to always measure the distance of 21 feet between those. And then we could encourage some pickleball tournaments, or some cornhole. And, you know, I've never played pickleball, but I bet it's
But
fun.
there's a group that really would like to have those.
So I don't want to do everything Matt wants and leave everybody else out. So if you got some people that you know that would be interested in using that space, make sure they know what we're doing,
Is there room for both?
of course. We have a whole city park. So, yes,
When
there
is
is.
that? They need to get a hold of who?
Well, you could talk to Tony, you could talk to me, you could call Matt. Matt's pushing the skating part of that. So it'd probably
No
be
red
easier
Ribbon is interested.
probably easier to talk to Tony or me. And we want the best and highest use of City Park, right? So,
Your Honor, I know when the Parks Committee was in, when we did that, one of our recommendations was basketball court there so we could have 3-on-3 tournaments and stuff like they have in Thermopolis. Bring that here. That was one of the things that we talked about.
and so Matt's kind of a hard charger, and we'll have to be careful that we don't pick up and let him go. But the real difficult part is the raising of the money, right? No matter what we do. And so we need to get interested in what those options are and see what we can do. So he has some big ideas of how to get some off-street parking. That would be wonderful. It always comes down to what we can afford. I was in a meeting with Julie Bowler and Joel Highsmith. That was productive. I also was in a meeting with Rocky Mountain Power. That was not productive. Tony and I attended that task force for the DUIs, and I think that's making a difference. That's curbing things, and I think that's something that we really need to pay attention to. And Fremont County's the hot spot for that, so we need to get those resources moved out of Cheyenne and up to where the work's taking place. I also had a meeting with Steve Wilson, who is the contractor for the Shoshone Business Park. They've got some really great ideas, and he's working really hard to make those come about. And I think everybody would be really pleased with what they see there. And then Tony lined up a meeting with the Sage West to talk about the ability to test blood in their labs. And we're going to pursue that and see if we can get that done. And then the highlight of what I got to do was today I got to go back to 7th grade. Not sure I passed 7th grade, but they let me out anyway. And so I got to talk to 4 different classes and about what they could do for the city and what the city could do for them. It was a lot of fun. So that's all I did since we last met. Does anybody else have anything to add to our discussions? Staff, you got anything?
No, Your Honor.
Since if there's no objections, we'll stand adjourned at 8:30. Thank you.